I've been on a hunt to play games in original format, except something happened. I went to go purchase a Super Nintendo with 6 games. When I received my package, 3 out of the 6 games were counterfeit, and the whole thing smelled like cigarettes. And 2 of the games didn't even work. I don't know what bothered me more, the fact that half of my games were counterfeit or that a couple of them didn't work. I know that the cigarette smoke was something I didn't particularly appreciate, but lighting things on fire in this room isn't something that I'm not used to. That being said, this experience overall left a really bad taste in my mouth. And I was like, well, what am I to do, right? I like playing these games. And I know what all of you guys are gonna say. Let me get ahead of this here. Well, there's always emulation. Go ahead and emulate. I mean, does it not kind of make sense that a man who listens to vinyl, makes fancy pants coffee, and goes out and buys a CRT TV kind of wants to try this back in the original form factor? I'm just trying to experience something I did before. That's all I'm trying to do. I will say that my confidence through this process is pretty much gone. I no longer am someone who is like, yes, let's go out and purchase all of these older titles. But something special, something pretty crazy happened through my experience with this guy, the Analog Pocket, which, surprise, surprise, you can't go out and get one of these either. I played through Minish Cap with my community. An older game, one that I looked to purchase legitimately because I wanted to find the title itself and try to play the cartridge itself on original hardware. I do have a Game Boy SP, shout out to Morgan. But still, the experience itself was far more valuable than the hardware that I was trying to pursue. You see, I went through a game that was old. And that older game in the modern day time taught me a lot. First off, gaming has changed. It's actually changed a ton. This, I mean, not just graphically, but the idea around different topics, how you approach a game, how you interact with a game. One of the first examples of me really realizing this was actually just a couple years ago. I was playing a game, Final Fantasy 16. This game is a really good game. I'm one of the few people that enjoyed it, and something that happened in the game is the way that you heal yourself or replenish your magic through potions and ethers. Well, it turns out that if you die, it'll 100% replenish however many you're allotted at that time in the game. It increases as the game goes on. And you respawn at either the beginning of the battle or maybe a different phase of the battle. That's crazy to me. The consequences are completely gone. Quick saves are convenient for myself, a father, but I think that the idea around saving should be something that you do yourself. I am a fan of save states. This is something that I implemented, or not implement, but I used pretty heavily through my playthrough of the Minish Cap. Going back and playing some of these older titles, we're able to interact with them in a different way, especially through emulation, save states, or on the Nintendo Switch or Nintendo Switch 2 through the online service, you're able to do stuff like rewind. I, for one, have exploited it. I've exploited rewind. In fact, the only way that I've ever been able to beat Super Mario Bros. 1 or the crazy other one, the Lost Levels, is by using rewind. Essentially cheating. Now, I don't want you to hear the words I'm not saying, okay? Here, I'm getting close for a second. I'm not saying using features like rewind or save states are bad. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is we have been kind of conditioned to game differently. You see, our time is valuable. Myself, being a father, I am recording this video as my son is sleeping. I have very, very little time to do anything. I wake up first thing in the morning to play video games, to get any gaming in, and I figured, you know what? Might as well share that with you guys. So if you're interested in that on Mondays and Wednesdays, I am live on Twitch, Analog Den, the Analog Den, it's linked below. But these experiences overall are ones where our time feels like it needs to be maximized. And so we start to do really weird things with our gaming hobby. We start to say, okay, how can I optimize? What is the best build? What is the best weapon combination? All of these different things to have the best experience. Because heavens forbid you play a game and make a mistake. You decide to go down a road that is less traveled, or you know what? You do the thing that was at the very, very beginning of this game, which was not actually planned. It's dangerous to go alone. Drink this. You just explore. For those of you who've been here for a while, I'm someone who played Elden Ring for the first time last year, fell in love with the whole game, went on to play a couple other Souls-likes, but something in particular really spoke to me in the Elden Ring experience. It was that the game itself actually rewarded you for exploring and punished you for being too confident. The game actually wanted you to try to do things that you weren't capable of. Right off the rip, you're supposed to bypass the first mini-boss, the Tree Sentinel, and instead I went full force and spent a couple hours eventually defeating it. Very excited about that. But still, the whole premise of that experience was one to where you're supposed to actually discover. Now, people, of course, look up best builds. I went with the guts build, like all strength. But still, this was a experience that was so closely tied, yes, closely tied to my most recent one with the Minish Cap. Now, the Minish Cap did something pretty special. It had problem solving, something that I feel like gaming is kind of phasing out to a certain degree. I feel like problem solving as a whole is more and more handheld. Games are showing you waymarkers, they're not requiring you to actually think more, and that for me has become tiresome, boring actually, and in a lot of ways it makes games feel repetitive. And part of the reason why I wanted to go back to original hardware was because it removed any sort of conveniences, or conveniences with quotations. People say online like it respects the gamer more. Is it? I feel like it's insulting me. I genuinely do. You're too dumb and you don't have enough time to play me, so here's a game. I don't like that feeling. The experience that I had in trying to get original hardware was because I don't want these modern conveniences. These modern conveniences I feel like are implemented because they are assuming that the gamer themselves is incapable of actually playing the game the way it's intended, and so we need to implement some or just completely remove some elements of gaming that will ensure that that user base is going to get through it. I think what I'm learning through my constant pursuit to play through older titles and seek out what I've missed, is that gaming as a whole, the change that has taken place, doesn't really have to do with, I mean, it can, with the way games are made or the stories that were told, but rather how the people making the games are viewing the actual gamer themselves. Back when I was a kid, the gamer themselves was the commander, the captain of the experience, the person who was to forge their own path and figure things out. And now I feel like gaming is this thing where you're no longer in control. And I don't want it to be misunderstood that Discovery has to be within the context of a super, super long game. I don't think that at all. But I do think that Discovery overall is something that can and certainly needs to be had by making mistakes, by allowing for yourself not to look for the most optimized best way to do things, but rather to discover it on your own. This is something that I learned in playing a game like the Minish Cap on a device, the Analog Pocket, which was fun, but certainly not necessary. It was so unique. I discovered so much about a game. I discovered a lot about myself. And I would challenge you, as people who are going through and playing games, older games, when you go to play a game, get rid of some of the modern conveniences that allow you to skip discovery. Because when it comes to gaming and it being yours, it is yours when you happen upon it. When it's someone else's experience that you're living out, you're simply just watching someone else play the game, even if it's in your hands. So, come join me over on twitch.tv/theanalogden. Have some fun with us. And as always, play more and be kind. Cheers.